Madam. Hello. Good morning. Morning, Aditya. Karmanya. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes, please respond if you can hear me.
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Your voice isn't coming. I have to hear you.
Just give me a minute.
So anybody else online can please respond. Aditya? Aditya, please respond if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Well, I can't hear you. Okay, can you unmute yourself and say something?
Hello. Am I audible?
No, your voice isn't audible over here.
Okay, I'll change my voice.
So, are you there? Pritha, Nishi, Manya, Aditya, please turn on your video so that we can see you. Yes, Aditya, can you hear me? We can't hear anyone. Yes, Aditya, can you unmute your...
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, no, nobody is audible. Just a moment. So, how are you? No, I'll after a long time. Okay, I hope you can hear me at least. We'll get that fixed so that we can
Ma'am, your voice is very feeble.
Sorry. Speaker is on the- Okay, can we test whether we can hear you or not? Karmanya,
Hello.
can you respond?
Am I audible? Hello. Can you respond now? We'll just see whether we can hear you or not. Yes, Karmanya, can you Hello,
hear us?
am I audible?
Yeah, okay, thank you. We can hear you now. Yeah, Aditya is there. Karmanya, we can see.
तो जिनका प्रॉब्लम रहा है इन बच्चों को सुनाई दे रहा है
Karmanya, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. There was some
But I can't hear your voice. It's very feeble.
very feeble. Okay, we'll try. Karmanya, can you hear us? Hear me?
Yes,
Hear-
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It is quite clear.
Aditya, can you ask them to adjust the volume so that you can hear? Huh? You can't hear the volume. So you can hear what she says. Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Aditya? Is my voice clear? Unmute yourself so I know whether we can hear you and you can hear me.
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you now.
Okay, fine. Okay, so now I think it's been a long time, 1 month we haven't met, right? So how did your vocabulary learning go?
Since started, since I started very late, and we have a half year left, less than few weeks. So yeah, then it's finding a one. Description.
Is not able to hear me? Okay, so Karmanya, how are you doing with vocabulary?
Yeah, fine. I've
Are
been
you-
learning
Are you
words with.
practicing on your vocabulary? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Aditya, how about you?
Yes, ma'am. Reading newspapers often.
Newspapers, and what about doing the meanings of words and figuring out how they are used? Because what we are going to do today will involve a lot of vocabulary. Yeah? Okay, so now can you concentrate? We can start. So we have okay, so I think you have done quite a bit of vocabulary with Ram. Now it's time to implement that knowledge. Yeah. Okay. Now, first thing, whatever we did in sentence correction, did you do your homework?
Yes.
Yeah. Any doubts? No. All fine. So you're thorough with your grammar.
Maybe have a test. What's the topic?
Topic will be like some of it will be sentence correction vocabulary, and a little bit is put in from what we're going to do today.
Because there was one topic of science.
Some chapters. You did this test?
Actually, it says that it was updated yesterday. Yeah. And yesterday it was updated from session 1 to 11 directly.
Yeah.
But we did not know beforehand. It was just like
See, your class test will be something like. So whatever you keep doing, everything will be coming in your tests. So that will give you practice, right? Say you did vocabulary, some vocabulary will be there. And number two, ask her to contact the office. Oh. So did you people do the idioms, homophones, thorough with it?
Yeah, we did
More or less? Yeah? Okay, so today we will be doing gap filling itself. So sentence completion. would be session 11. This will be session 11 in your books. You can open to session 11. So are you all sure that you know this? Okay. So did you write the test? Or
No,
you
we were
still-
supposed to come here and give
No, no problem. See, any test that comes up for IPM, there is no problem because you would have done it before. It's not just one topic, it will be all the topics that you have covered till now. Right? So there's no mugging up, it's just practice. Right? And only a little few questions would be there for gap filling or sentence completion, which since the vocabulary portion came in the middle, we haven't completed. Your vocabulary, sentence correction, words, yeah. So whatever you've done so far, on that. Right? Only the sentence completion part we'll be doing today, so no problem. So Aditya, have you completed the exercises of the last class? That is of sentence correction.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in the last class we did idioms.
Hmm?
In the last lecture with Raki ma'am, we did idioms.
Yeah, no, the last class with me. I'm talking about the sentence correction exercises. I think exercise 3, 4, 5 you people have to do.
Yes, I have completed.
Okay, great. Are you people able to see the screen? Wait, I'll.
पता नहीं प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी नहीं करना है ये इसने ऊपर किया है कोऑर्डिनेटर को करना है ये रेखा चाहिए थी ना
Ma'am,
Yes, Aditya.
I mean practice exercise 4 of session 10. I had a doubt in the 17th question.
Session 10. Okay. Number
17.
yes. It's hardly having left the house, right?
I think the answer should be D, but in the back it's given A.
Hardly had, no, it should be D. Hardly having left the house when it started raining.
So A is incorrect, right?
Yeah. D is correct. Hardly. B says hardly had he left his house, then it started raining. It won't be dead. So we are talking about a moment of time. Right? So when will be correct?
actually
Yeah.
this is a question concept
Yeah.
I had a doubt in this which was had and then
Yeah. So depends on the context. They are talking about a moment of time. So it could be like in this question, we would use when. In other places, usually hardly had that is comes in. But in this particular one, it's talking about a moment. That is, he went out when it started raining. So In fact, actually, Dan should be correct, but when is better. When we're talking about this,
In the 13th one also,
pardon?
the 13th one of the same exercise, what should be the answer?
13. It says for sincere, gentle, and talented. Right, ma'am? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Sincere, gentle, and talented. That question. What should be the answer according to you?
Sincere, gentle, and talented people do not crave for applause. Okay, so this is an idiomatic expression. Crave for applause or after applause?
A should be the answer, but again it's given C.
Wait a minute. He says sincere, gentle, and talented people do not crave after applauses. So would you use applauses or applause?
Applause. So the answer is, can the answer be
If sincere, gentle, and talented people do not crave for applause. Right? So here it will be after applause, not for applause.
A? Okay, ma'am.
Right? And it will not be applauses. So B and D will anyway be eliminated.
So because this is an idiom, that is why this is the answer.
Yeah, it is an idiomatic expression. Okay? See there. Anyway, you will eliminate because it says applauses. And between A and C, C is the correct idiomatic expression. So the rest of them you've done. It says 5 is also done. Yes, Aditya Karmana. Good
Yes.
morning, Kushi.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning. Tanvi, are you able to hear us? Yes, Tanvi, please respond if you hear us.
Yes, ma'am.
Why is Zoom side now? What are they? Okay, so Tanvi and Tanvi, Manya, and Nishi. I was asking whether you had any doubts from the yes, girls. Can you stop talking? One person coming. One person.
Actually, I want to call.
Okay. So Nishi, Manya, and Tanvi, have you done the exercises from the sentence correction too? Any doubts? Anyone has done it? The second exercise. The exercises 3, 4, and 5 you have to do for homework. Done? Not done. Okay. Yes, can you please unmute yourself, Manya? We can't hear you.
Yes, ma'am. What were you asking?
The sentence correction, the sentence correction part, that is session 10.
Yeah. Have I done it? You're asking?
Done? No doubts?
No.
Alright. Okay, so I presume everyone is thorough with the sentence correction. We'll move on to the next part. Now here, lots of vocabulary will be coming in. So I hope everyone can see the screen properly. Those online, I think, won't have a problem. But you people, if you can't see the screen properly, you will follow through. Yeah. So now, what do we mean when we say sentence completion? So you've done this gap filling exercises in school also, in the 10th. Yeah, similar. This would be similar to that. Only maybe a little higher. Right? So we will talk about now. You'll have sentences, maybe a single sentence or maybe two sentences. It could be one blank, two blanks, or three blanks. Yeah. So
3 blanks.
could be two sentences with three blanks. And for IPM, it is usually 1, 2, or 3 blanks. And if you are going into other exams, let's say symbiosis or anything, they could have a whole like the closed passage, the big passage with lots of blanks. That also can be there. So you'll practice all of that. Now the main thing in these type of questions would be to read the context carefully. But the context will give you the answer. Maybe there are words which you don't know. What will you do? You don't know the meaning of a word. Read the sentence and figure out. Yeah, what type of word will come in, etc. So the main things that we will be doing is you'll be analyzing the context of the system, sentence. Then you can predict. Now when you are reading the sentence with the blank, without looking at the options given to you, you can predict what the word could be, a word or phrase of your own. Yeah. Then when you are looking at the context and the words, say you don't know the word. So don't know the meaning of the word. How do you figure out? Look at the prefixes, suffixes, and the cognates. Cognates means the root words. So Raki ma'am must have done root words also with you. Yeah. So then she gave you some list of root words. No?
You were also
Yeah.
you said that
I was going to, then I said Raki ma'am will be doing it, so I didn't send. It will become overlap. Anyway, I'll share it. Okay. Okay. Then you come to identifying clue words from the given sentence. Yeah. So we'll be doing these in details. These are just to tell you what and connotation, that is the tone of the passage, whether it is positive or negative. So now when we talk about the predicting, we already said we'll take an example to figure out. And of course, the most important is eliminating. So you don't know the answer. At least eliminate the words you think will not be the answer. Yeah. So you narrow down on something that could be the answer. Okay, let's look at this example. It says crestfallen by having done poorly on the IIM IPM. Akanksha began to question her abilities. Her self-conscious was dash. Right? So now if you break down the sentence, what is it telling you? She did poorly and she was crestfallen. That is, she was, and she started questioning her abilities. So what would have happened to her self-confidence? Diminished, gone down. So which word would be your answer? It won't be appease, right? Appease means something completely different. You're appeasing something means you are like pacifying somebody or doing something to keep somebody happy. Placated would it be? Yeah. So placated would mean that it went down to a very low level. But in this case, that wouldn't be the word. It will be destroyed. It won't be elevated also. So you've eliminated, elevated, appeased, placated, you don't think it should be. Destroyed is what you are looking for. Right? So what did you do? You looked at what the sentence was trying to tell you. The tone of the sentence came in. You predicted, right? Your own word, and then went on to look for the word that is in the context. Okay, now you are looking at the context, suffixes, prefixes. So you say you don't know a word. Now, say the word something like another word. When you break down the words, you have this keyword and then the word added to it. Like multilingual or multinational. Multi means many. It's coming out, going out. So you have to break, if you don't know the meaning, at least break down the word, look for the root word and see what the meaning could be. Right? That helps you. Next, the clue words are important. This is where mostly the transition words come. Now the different transition words you have already done. Yeah? Yes? So this camera and that camera, you see my side face when I look at it. Okay, so Karmanya, what are the different types of transition words you have come across?
Like which join those in sentences.
Yeah, something like joint sentences. Anything else? Can you be louder?
Like joining two cases like but, whether, if, these could be some examples.
Anything else? So what is the purpose of transition words?
And then, like, make the
Connection between. So they give us the connection between two ideas or two sentences.
But then what is the difference?
Same thing. Yeah. Conjunctions and transition words are same. Yeah. So now suppose if you come across the word but, what type of relationship would you come across in the sentence or the ideas? Opposite, contrast. So contrasting relationships would be indicated by words like but, yet, despite, although, however, nevertheless. So you have to look for these type of words. Now suppose we have support indicators. Support is adding something. Yeah. So and also you're giving additional information. Furthermore, right? Likewise, and then you will, and there could be a cause-effect relationship. Then you would use because, therefore, right? So you have to look for these transition words to get a clue of what the idea, how the ideas are connected. Now, suppose we look at this sentence. Although the warring parties have settled a number of disputes, past experience made them dash. Okay, now here if you have a capital P, take it into small t. Right? If it is not correct. Okay, to express optimism that talks would be a success. Now here, what is now this you break it down into two parts. What is the first part telling you? Although the warring parties settled a number of disputes, yeah. Now they have settled a number of disputes, but what happened because of the past experiences? Yeah, so it said dash to express optimism that talks would be a success. So what do they think about the success of the talks?
And it is not ensured.
Yeah.
that
So
there is no
to express optimism, what to express optimism? They were not sure, they were hesitant. Yeah. So any word over here in the options which would be similar to hesitant. Reticent, right? So, yes, Nishi, did you get the word? Now, would we use rash? No, it's completely different.
Dash would fit, but we.
No, rash is when they are rushing into something. They are rash means they are not taking the right decision.
They are making a hasty choice.
Yeah, hasty choice. We're not talking about that. Ambivalent. What's the meaning of ambivalent? By now you should be. So you would have.
He needs to not be sure on ambiguous.
Mixed, yeah, ambivalent, mixed feeling. Ambivalent could be mixed feeling. Now, do one thing. Whatever word you come across, you don't know, write the meaning. Yeah. So I may give you some of the meanings. I may not know some of them. So you can look it up. So scornful would not be. The scornful means something to do with sarcasm, that is, he is not really acceptable of something. Yeah. Overjoyed will not come in. That's a completely different idea. Yeah. Reticent. What does this reticent mean actually? Hesitant. Any other word for reticent? So reticent would be reluctant. Arrogant. Yeah, it could be. It could be, now if you come across a word like taciturn, that's also reluctant. Yeah. Or now reticent could also be used in the sense of quiet or silent, not saying anything or not expressing yourself. Right? If you come across reticent in that sense, that would also be correct. Okay. So now quite a few meanings of reticent. I hope you've all written down. So here what did we see? We saw a contrasting relationship. We figured out what they are trying to say, and we came to a verb. Right? Okay. Now we come to some more examples about support indicators. Harshit is an opprobrious and dash speaker, equally caustic towards friend or foe, a true curmudgeon. Know any of these words?
I know positive.
Yeah.
It's something that we
Being rude,
harsh.
yeah, harsh. So it's a,
So it's
now if you see the one thing we can see that these are all negative words, right? So first thing you would be doing is you would not be taking in any positive words. Now, opprobrious, now we don't know opprobrious, say we don't know curmudgeon, right? But we know positive, right? So we get an idea that all these are negative feelings or negative traits, right? Okay, so then what can come in now? I'll give you the meanings of these words. Opprobrious would mean expressing scorn, the scornful towards something. Yeah. And curmudgeon would mean ill-tempered, or stubborn. So he was a curmudgeon, he was a ill-tempered person. Stubborn old man. So now we know that we need a negative word. Okay? And these are all talking about this traits, this and that, dash. Yeah. So which of the words can be eliminated? Unstinting. What is the meaning of unstinting?
unstinting. It's a positive way to be on across something.
Yeah. Unstinting effort.
Yeah.
Or he was unstinting can also be used as in giving without restraint. Yeah, you are doing something for somebody which is related to, say, benevolent, right? So unstinting we won't use here. Would we use lofty? Anybody in machine? suspicious. Vague. Yeah, it could also be used for dignified or eminent. Right? Yeah, it's coming that way also, towering, lofty building. So literally towering. So we won't use lofty over here. Yeah, unstinting also we have eliminated. Retiring. No. What would retiring mean?
Giving up.
Giving up, or yeah, giving up something like giving up a job or not doing. Or it would also mean like a person, nature is retired, is shy, keeping away from. Yeah, could also be used that. So now what are we left with? Vituperative. Yeah, that's the only word that is left. Even if we don't know the meaning, elimination helps. Right? So now what is the meaning of vituperative? Anybody? Yes, anybody knows the meaning? Come on. Manya, Ramanya, Aditya. Okay, write it down if you don't know. It means bitter, abusive, right? Using like somebody who uses harsh language. That would be vituperative, right? So lots of words. Now you know your vocabulary you have to work on. You'll be coming across lots of new words, and you should be able to figure out. If you don't know the meaning, still from the sentence, you can figure out what type of words to be. So here, if, like in this sentence, what type of word would we look for? Negative word. Yeah. First thing we'll see whether we need a negative word or a positive. Then we will eliminate words which look with it. Yeah, or have the opposite. So when you are looking for synonyms, also look for antonyms. They'll be giving you antonyms also, and you should know this can be a link. Right? Okay. Now when we're talking about cause effect relationship, what is the transition word that comes up? Say because, for, hence, thus, therefore, if, then this happened, then that happened. Because of this, that happened. Okay? Yeah. Let's look at some sentences here. The first one says, because the House has the votes to override the presidential veto, the president has no choice but to what? So now you break down the sentence to get to the meaning of it. So what is it trying to tell you? The president has no choice to do something, right? But to. So you have a contrast, yeah? Because the House has votes to override presidential veto, then the president has no choice but to say given or listen to the House, right? Yeah, so object will not be there, abdicate will not be there, abstain will not be. Yeah, abdicate. What does abdicate mean? Anybody? No?
Give up on
So-
something.
Yes, Karmanya?
To give up on something.
Yeah, give up on something. Usually give up on a throne or power.
But then what is it? Compromise.
Compromise is you are going with what they're saying. And abdicate is giving up power. It's specific to that. So say the king abdicated his throne. He gave up his throne. Yeah, or maybe here if they say the president had no choice but to give up his post. Yeah, but in this case, that meaning doesn't come. It's not that extreme. Yeah, so he had to compromise. And what's the meaning of abstain? That's pretty simple word. Stay away from, right? Okay, so now you can write down the meaning of abdicate. And okay, now the next sentence. Neem has dash qualities, and in many clinical trials, doctors have saved countless lives by using raw neem leaves on serious wounds. So neem has now, suppose now remedial is a simple word, and we know all the others we can eliminate. Now suppose you had a little difficult word instead of removing. Still you can get to it. Why? Now, what is sentence trying to tell you?
That it is something good.
Good. So you are looking for a positive word, right? So in this case, flavoring doesn't make sense. It's not inferior. Inferior is a negative word, right? Notorious is also a negative word and it doesn't make sense in here. It could be meme has notorious properties. It can say if it was talking about meme having counter effects, then those negative words will come, right? So now we come to the fourth one where we spoke about using connotations. Now, what do you mean by connotations? Again, it comes to the implied definition. So the words will have the meaning or the definition and it implies something. So it may not be straightforward, but it could mean something else. So let's look at an example here. Because of his dash, Max's guest felt very welcome and comfortable staying at his house for the weekend. So when would you feel welcome and comfortable? When he is friendly or he is very, he likes to host you as a guest. Yeah, that way. So now if we look at the words, we need a positive word, right? Yes, Aditya, what type of word would you require here?
Like something positive about Max.
Positive words. So what would you do? First, you would be eliminating the negative words. Now, what are the negative words here? Severity. Animosity, is it positive or negative? Animosity.
Is it positive?
The opposite.
Not amiable.
It's the opposite of being friendly.
Yeah, that's like.
Yeah?
What's the opposite of it?
Amiable could be opposite. Yeah? So now we eliminate animosity, we eliminate severity. Yeah? Severity would be if they say that he was very strict, then severity would come in. But that's not the case. Now determination, will that come in? Because of his determination? No, right? Doesn't make sense. So we are left with hospitality, right? So hospitality will be the only word that comes in. Now what do you do? Now, okay, another thing that for all types of sentences, what you have to do is, after you have narrowed down on your option, what do? Plug it back into the sentence. Yeah? And read the sentence with the option you have chosen. If it's correct, if it seems correct, that's your answer. So the meaning of the sentence should not change. So in this case, because of his generosity, now here you also, yeah. So only generosity, because of his hospitality, his guests felt comfortable. So that will be your answer. Okay. Now we earlier said predict your answer, right? Now when you are predicting your answer, how will you do that? Same thing. Read the sentence, break it down, see what the main point of the sentence is, whether you need a positive word or negative word. Put in a word of your own and then look for a word which is similar. Right? So if you have this example, although the fossils were well preserved, paleontologists were unable to dash the identity of the mammal species. So, what is this sentence telling you? The fossils were well preserved, but they were unable to identify the species, right? So they were unable to dash the identity of the mammals. What word would come in? Assertive, right? And you see, violate, embellish. These are negative words. Anyway, they won't come in because they are trying to do something.
Embellish.
Embellish would mean, yeah. Embellish would exactly mean, yeah, embellish. So one minute. Embellish is not a negative word actually. Embellish is to decorate something with additional features. You embellish, say, a certain machine with certain features, or you are embellishing, say, a structure, right? So violate and display. Here we are not talking about unable to display the item, though that is also a positive word, and it could come in, but that is not what we are talking about. Yeah, asserting. We are making sure of the species. Okay. Now these were all we did questions with one blank. Now coming to questions with two blanks. How would you deal with that? First thing, you'll see that in the options, you have two words, a pair of words will come. Right? Now you have to make sure, always there will be only one pair which is correct. And you have to make sure that both the words fit in. If one of the words doesn't fit in, eliminate it. Right? So you have to see. Okay, now another thing, not only when you have two words, it's not that the first blank will always be the, yeah. So your first blank will be the first word, second blank will be the second word. And it has to be in that order. If one of the options have two words and you think they both fit in, but they're not in the same order, that will not be yours. So you have to look at two things first. Both the words should be fitting in correctly, and they should be in the same order as the blanks. Right? So you said that, okay, I have two words, both are fitting in, but the first blank comes second blank comes first. That's wrong. Eliminate immediately. Right? So if you look at this one, and sometimes it may happen you have a long sentence with two or three blanks, or maybe two sentences with two or three blanks. And when you're reading from the first blank, you're not getting any answer. So read on. And maybe you get the third blank, then the sentence starts making sense, and then work backwards. Yeah. So don't always say that I have to get the first blank first and then move on. It may be that you get the last blank, and maybe you get the middle one if there are three blanks. Yeah. So whichever one you get, fill it up and then look for the other options. Okay, let's look at this one. The much hated bill sparked of a wave of dash or public dash, which could not dash by the concessions of the British announced. Right? So what is this sentence talking about? Yeah, so the people didn't like the bill. So if the people didn't like the bill, what would they have done? Anger, right? Angered, agitated, something of that sort. And if they are angered or agitated, then it goes on, which could not dash by the concessions. Refused or pacified, something of that sort. So now, keeping that in mind, we look at the options. Enthusiasm will not come in, it's the opposite, right? We are talking about people are not happy. So enthusiasm will not be, so that can be eliminated. Next one says clamor. Would clamor make sense? No.
I had a doubt.
Yes?
Can we meddle with the tenses of the options given?
Pardon?
Can we meddle with the tenses of the options given? Like, can we change the tenses or no?
Yeah, it could be. Suppose you have an option in which, in this case, that is the problem here.
Yeah.
But not B, because I added a B and then make sense of it. So it could be that you have only one option left and there the tense doesn't match.
Yeah,
So you can go with it.
okay.
But if you have two options that are correct, in one tense matches, the other tense doesn't match, then you go with the one that is correct and the
Okay.
matches the tense. But in this case, the tense, if you go with, say, your answer will not be A, B also eliminated, C eliminated, curiosity we are not talking about, adoration also we are not talking about. Only thing left is E, this and that. And the other word is abated, which could not be abated would be the answer. So B is missing in this sentence.
My doubt is that the question is question. The question is in this format. They would be different options or
It could be, in this case, it's not there, it should have been there.
so usually in the question paper they
Yeah.
include all the ends chances.
Usually. Sometimes these type of questions may come up. I have come across some of these even in the test papers. But you have to figure out that, yeah? Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll do some exercises. So now you know how to deal with these type of questions? No problem? Yeah? So now with practice, you will get better, of course. Maybe the first few questions you can't do, maybe even the first test you will not be able to do all the questions. But yes, this will help you in building up your vocabulary, right? And then you will, when you come across the words, some of them may seem familiar, some of them you can have to look up the meaning. First, but when you are doing the exercises, one thing you have to keep in mind, don't look at the meaning immediately. Try to figure it out. And then if you see that your answer is correct, fine. Then you go on to look up the meaning of the words that you do. Okay? Okay, let's look at the first one. So, what would come? So, can you break up the sentence and tell me what the sentence means? So, anybody over there?
I'm option B. Resigned.
B.
Yes.
Ma'am, I think A.
Option B. Rescinded.
Ma'am, what about E? I think E is the answer. Belied.
Belied. Okay, we have two answers here. What about the rest of them?
I think it's the first one, restored.
Restored. Okay, so now we have different options. Some of you are giving me a positive word, some are giving me a negative word. What is the word that we require over here? Now, that's why I said, break the sentence down. So what is the first part of the sentence talking about? A concern of the earthquake victims. Yeah, so we are talking about a concern of the earthquake victims. And the second part, her reputation as a callous person. So what is her reputation? Yeah, a callous person who doesn't care about it. Here we are talking about her being concerned about the earthquake victims. So we are getting a contrast. So she is known to be a callous person, but we still see concern. So belied will come. What does belied mean? So it contradicts something. Belied is contradict, doesn't show what actually is. It means repel or revoke.
Revoke it's like revoke
No, we are talking about she has a reputation. Everyone knows. It's not talking about removing. So if we look at it, okay, suppose we put in revoke over here. A concern for earthquake victims revoke or register her reputation as a callous person wouldn't really make sense, right? So instead, if we say belied, so everyone knows her as a callous person, but she came across as a person who's showing concern, right? Okay, so everyone clear on this? Break down the sentence, look at what the sentence is talking about, then go to the options. Okay, number 2. Here you have 2 blanks. Yeah? Try to do this.
I think it's A.
So, everyone got the answer? What was from this one?
I think
Okay. So here I think somebody was giving that answer when I was so. Yes, Aditya, what's your answer?
A.
A. So, yeah. Did you get the answer, Manya? Please unmute yourself.
No, ma'am, I'm still trying to figure it out. I couldn't understand the first sentence only.
Yes, Tanvi, did you get the answer? Yes, Tanvi, are you there?
Ma'am, could you repeat?
Pardon? I didn't get it.
Ma'am, you're not audible.
Okay, Preeta, what's your answer?
Ma'am, could you repeat?
I couldn't get what you said. Can you say it again? Yes, Preeta?
Ma'am, your voice isn't audible.
Voice is a little distorted. Okay, can you say a little softer so that we can hear you properly? It's getting distorted in your mind.
Ma'am, could you speak a little louder?
Okay. So I'm asking you to answer to question 2. Question 2, you did it? Did you get the answer? Yes, Preeta?
Ma'am, A1.
So, Karmanya, what's your answer to 2?
I did not get it.
Yeah, you didn't get it?
No.
Okay. Okay, now let's look at the question. It says, the author presumably believes that all businessmen are dash, right? For her main characters, whatever qualities they may lack are virtual paragons of dash, right? Now, what do you mean by paragon? Anybody? What's the meaning of paragon?
Ideal or perfect.
Perfect example.
Great.
So that is somebody you look up to or defines something.
this paragon because mean a positive connotation.
It could be used in different ways, but it is an example of.
Like depends that's a perfect
Yeah.
example of what we because if paragons positive, then we have an answer text, but.
No, see, you have to look at the context. The context is important. So what is the sentence asking you?
Like a paragon of honest or a paragon
Yeah.
of dishonest, so that.
So both can be. Now, in this case, we have the author presumably believes all businessmen are dash. So she's talking about some characteristic of businessmen. Yeah. Now, for her main characters, whatever qualities they may lack are virtual paragons of dash. So they are what? They represent something, right? So when we talk about when we look at the, now in this case, she believes that all businessmen are something. Now, we have clever and ingenuity. And we have covetous greed, both are negative. Virtuous deceit. The paragons of deceit doesn't seem to. Now she's talking about all business. That's a generalized statement. Right? First thing. So why would we go with
Actually, the first a word would be this virtual deceit is positive, negative, okay?
Right.
But the first word should be a general statement.
General
But the
statement.
second word is for her characters. Right?
Yeah,
First
a
is
particular character she is talking. Now all businessmen are this. So that's a generalized statement
Second word is
about the
particular.
characteristics of all businessmen. And because of that, she is taking that characteristic to represent her character. So something specific comes in. So if you look at it that way, now covetous and greed, both are negative. Would we take it in no? No. Why?
Because not
She's
all
talking,
businessmen are
not all business. Yeah, so it cannot be generalized. Now, virtuous and paragons of deceit, these are contrasting characters. So we will not take that because whatever we take in the first plan, the second plan follows from there. Right? Now, successful and ambition, all businessmen are successful and are paragons of ambition. Yeah, so we cannot generalize that all of them are always successful. Right? Now, cautious and achievement.
They are not.
We are not talking about something like they are paragons of achievement. Are all of them successful and have achieved? Not really. Yeah. And cautious doesn't lead to achievement. We have to have a relationship between the two words. Right? So now with all these things in mind, now what have we done? We have eliminated B, we have eliminated C, D also we have eliminated, E also we have eliminated. We are left with A. So according to the author, now here if you see, presumably believes. She is not saying they are. She presumably believes that they are clever. Now, if they are clever, they will have the characteristics of ingenuity. Yeah. What is the meaning of ingenuity?
Innovation.
Intelligent genius.
Yeah. They are ingenuity is break it down. Genuine. Genuine means innovative. Yeah, genuine is like something which is true, or like when you're talking about a characteristic, it could be genuinity is when you have some original ideas that was something. Both ways can be used. There's somebody who is genuine, that is true, or somebody who is innovative, right? Both could be used to be here. So if we plug in the words again, somebody read the sentence with the words plugged in. Yes.
The author presumably believes that all businessmen are clever. So her main characters, whatever qualities they may have, are virtual paragons of each.
Right. So that makes sense. Yes, Karmanya? Does it make sense now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah? Or you still have a little doubt? You
Yes,
can come up with
ma'am.
your doubts so that at least we can discuss it.
Got it.
No? Okay. So this we have two blanks. Now, whenever you have two blanks and you are also confused, what do? Analyze further. Yeah. Don't just randomly go with an answer. Analyze and then with your answer. Okay. Now let's look at the third one. Lacking scarce scriptures or dash, Shinto is more properly regarded as a legacy of traditional practices and basic values than as a formal system of belief. Right? So what is the same? First, don't look at the blanks, or don't look at the options. First, try to figure out what the sentence is trying to do. Right? So it's talking about Shinto. Now, Shinto, which I found is, it is a ancient ancestral form of worship in Japan, right? It's an ancient form of Japanese religion. So if you're talking about Shinto and it says, lacking sacred scriptures, means nothing is written down, right? Doesn't have scriptures, is more properly regarded as a legacy of traditional practices. So it is, it comes from one generation to another. Yeah. So teachings from one generation to another as values or lifestyles. So it talks about traditional practices, basic values, than as a formal system of belief. So now we come to the blank. Lacking sacred scriptures or dash. So what could come with scriptures?
Relics, maybe.
Relics would be something that exists since a long time. So relics would not really. Now, if you look at the rest of the sentence, it's something that it should be related to something that is not defined. Yeah. Now it is passed on down from generation to generation. That means it will have some relics. But what does not have, we are talking about.
It has followers.
It has followers. Now, it has already said it is lacking scriptures. And last is said, it doesn't have a formal system. Yeah. So what can we eliminate? Followers, customs, faith, it is faith. Yeah. Now relics also we will eliminate because relics is something which is passed down from generation to generation.
Sculptures of ancient ideas.
Not only sculptures, it could mean some beliefs also, some systems, or some particular ways of thinking. Yeah. Also be religious. So what is left over here? Dogma. Now, anybody with the meaning of dogma? No? Now you must have heard the word dogmatic. What does it mean?
Yeah,
Somebody is dogmatic.
to be manipulated.
Not like
One system of
Yeah.
belief. Confined to only one system of belief, not
yeah,
approach.
somebody is dogmatic means somebody is very strict and wants to impose their beliefs on others. Right? So something of that sort. So if you talk about dogma, it actually means principles laid down by authority. Does it write it down? Definition of dogma, principles laid down by authority. Yeah. So now if you look at the sentence again, does dogma make sense in the sentence? Anya?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Yeah. So we can say it does not have scriptures and strict principles. Right? Got it? What's happening on your phone? Okay, so now this is done. Number 3. Got it? Okay, now we try number 4. Sorry, I have to sit down, maybe you can't see my face. I hope you can hear me, all of you online. Yeah, can you hear me
Yes, ma'am.
clearly? Okay. So number 4, males or sperm whales are normally creatures. However, when we are jealously guarding their territory, they have been known to dash it. So here, what do you see?
Option A.
So first we analyze the sentence before going on to the. So you have a contrasting word, however. Yeah. Now, when you're talking about however, the two words would be opposite, right? So if you say males, sperm whales are normally what? So this would be a positive word. And the second part, when you are jealously guarding their territory, they have been known to dash signatures. Yeah. So first that be won't be aggressive, it won't be large, it won't be powerful. Right? So that eliminates the more issues. Shifts, right? So, when we come so would be A. Now you can do number 5. So number 5, your sentence is a charisma was a double-edged sword. In a sense, it allows both admiration and so this admiration, what was you saying? What type of word are you looking at? It's a double-edged sword. Means there are two opposite things coming in. So now when we have both admiration and admiration is
Ma'am, your voice is very faint. Could you speak up a little?
stand up, this mic doesn't catch my voice. And we just come in, yeah. So what would you eliminate and why?
On the positive words, affection,
Admiration is and it's similar to admiration. Equanimity.
I think it's not negative.
It's not negative. Words that they consider her to be equal to them, same as them. Yeah. Obstinacy. Can you people hear me now? Is my voice clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So obstinacy. What would obstinacy mean?
Something that's very show offish, like
Or stubborn.
okay,
So
yeah.
that would be, yeah, refusing to change, obstinate, refusing to change. Yeah. So you have to be able to connect words. Right? Maybe you don't know this form, you know another word which is similar. So you can derive your meaning. And your affection is again a positive word, we don't need that. So eliminating all these negative words and all the positive words, what do we come down to? Envy. right? So we can see that it's talking about a double-edged sword. On one side, it's talking about admiration. The second would be something. Okay, now you can do number 6. And employees' motives were found to be dash. No disciplinary action will be taken against him for the mistake. So, some motive against which no disciplinary action is taken. So, what would be the motive?
I think it's 9. Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
9.
Benign.
9 because
Okay.
it's harmless, right? They use
Harmless, yeah. So he did something which did not really harm anybody. His motives were something, but did not really affect it.
I know it's 9, but why would creditors not be able to get? Because
Gratuitous means uncalled for. We don't require, it is uncalled for. Okay. Now it could be, you could say it is uncalled for or gratuitous, but then the next part says no disciplinary action will be taken.
Like, piece of whatever the employer has done is something harmless. It's
Yeah.
not something harmless.
So if you say it is uncalled for, then he shouldn't have done it. So if you still think that he shouldn't have done it, means it was something that was bad. Right? So if you still think that it was something bad, then disciplinary action should have been taken. But since disciplinary action is not being taken, means it is not harm. We can let it go. Right? So we will eliminate absurd, impoverished, intentional. Intentional also will not come in. Because if it was intentional, disciplinary action should have been taken. Right? So this one you got. Answer is benign. Benign means harmless. Okay. Okay, number 7. Devesh loves roses for the dash appeal of their petals and leaves. While here again you have a transition, which is like when you have while, which is either contrasting or comparing. Right? While I am most dashed by the olfactory properties.
Option A.
Option, we have 2 words, both have to be correct.
Yes,
So,
option.
Devesh love the roses for their dash appeal. Now, if you see, we need a positive word again for the first blank, right? And the second one also should be a positive word. You like something, right? So if you like something, it will not be negative. So as aesthetic and enthralled could come in, but we will still go into look for other options, maybe a better one. Tacit. Tacit would mean something which is not really appealing. Right?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Can we get a small break, like for 5 minutes or something?
Sorry, I forgot. Get when I start teaching. Yeah, you can do it. I can't even see the time on here. That's the problem. It's 12:53. So in this first part, yes. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm?
It's better than this direction. Let's see people in this form.
Because it seems easy to go around to you neglect small things over there. Yes, and, you sign it now. Yeah. Or one or could be good. Just open your vocabulary and grammars and bring in your. Can we get back? Huh? So, hello everybody, can we get back? Yes, can we, Brita? Okay, I think we'll continue with the exercise. Yes, everybody, can you please come back? Have lunch or what? Can we, Brita? Rishi? Maya? Renu? Yeah, everyone back? Thank you. So far, how are you finding it? Nishi? Yes, Nishi, how are you finding it so far? Is it doable?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you need practice first. This is the first time you're doing these. The little difficult ones.
Yes.
But the ones you did in school were not so difficult. So you have to get used to it. Okay. So now we did till 6. We did 7 also. Yeah. Okay, now girls. So everybody, number 8. Anyways. Okay, 1 minute here is this. It will be a history teacher, not as. a history teacher. It's corrected if it's wrong. And during, yeah, this one. So his dash for learning history should prove to be dash during his studies to become a history teacher. So he's learning history and he wants to become a history teacher. So what would his knowledge while he's learning be? Would be helpful sort of, right? So his dash for learning history should prove to be dash during his studies to become a history teacher. Now, something first blank would be what?
Penchant.
Penchant could be. Now, affinity is also similar, but futile will not. Yeah, we don't need a negative word in the second line. Yeah. His affinity towards something that he likes it. So disdain and useful will not be. But if he doesn't like history, he would not want to become a history teacher. Right? So we will not go with disdain. Penchant and would be practical during the studies. Exactly. Yeah. So now we will keep that. If we don't have any better answer, we'll go with that. So we'll see what can be eliminated. Now dislike will be eliminated. Right? Now affinity can be, but futile eliminated. Yeah. So now we've eliminated A, C, and D. Now what about E? Yeah. Registers was one of the unqualified. Right? We just came across. So E is also eliminated. What are you left with? P. No other option. So you have to go with it. Right? Maybe practical doesn't fit in absolutely, but still that is your answer. Right? Okay. Now number 9. Here again you have 2 blanks. So we felt dash once the committee issues its report that dash our actions. Now what is it talking about? The committee issued a report that sees something our actions. Option C, we felt vindicated. Now what is the tone of the sentence?
I feel like it can be anything.
It could be, but if you read, we felt dash once the committee issued its report that dash our actions. Now it could be positive or negative.
Like we are sure that it is the answer either both will be
Both
positive
will be
or both will
positive
be
or both
negative.
negative. Yeah. So now if you look at the options, A says angered and supported. Abused. Now we felt abused. We would feel abused. We would be abused. Yeah. And the report that endorsed our action, endorsed could be suppressed, but abused, abused will not. Yeah. We felt, now if you see, like we felt something positive when it was, if your actions are supported, means you will feel good about it. Yeah. So abuse will not come. Vindicated. Now we felt vindicated means we were, yeah, removed of guilt. Yeah. So we felt vindicated when our actions were authenticated by the authority. That could be something simple, right? Yeah. It's been applauded. So we can eliminate B. Ignorant and dignified. If you be ignorant, And your actions are dignified?
No, ma'am.
No. So E is also eliminated. So the only option left is C. Yeah. So even if you are not sure, elimination helps you to come to the correct answer. Right? Is everyone clear about this? Yes, Manya?
Yes.
Where you? Tanvi, is it clear? Yes, Tanvi, have you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you can do number 10. In the room that contains several house plants can be more dash oxygen will be can be more dash oxygen than, so you have how many phrase here that and the room that contains no plants. Yeah. So if you have no plants, you don't have enough oxygen. So this could be more saturated with oxygen. Now enjoyed by, doesn't make sense. Exhausted with, you are saying you have more plants. So it could not be exhausted. And complicated doesn't make sense, right?
But saturated is a negative word, right? A little bit.
Saturated is not a negative word over here. It is like, say, it's talking about a room is saturated with oxygen. It is full of.
Yeah,
Saturated
but
means it is full of.
it's used in a negative sense more often, right?
Wouldn't always be used as in a negative sense. Saturation means full of. So when you say the air has so much of humidity, it is saturated 90%. So it is full of. Right? That's how it comes. So everyone got number 10? Aditya?
Yes, ma'am.
All going well so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts in this exercise? No?
I had one in the third one, or doubt in third one, but it was cleared. I thought the answer was customs.
So now you are sure about it?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have any doubts, you could plug in the words and see if it makes sense or not, right? Okay, now we can do a little of exercise 2. So now your strategies are clear. How to go about? Even if you don't know the words, you can still get the answer. Yeah, maybe you don't know one word. How many you have 2 blanks? What do you have to make sure about?
Will have the same nature.
Yeah, and both should be there. Even if one of them doesn't fit in, your answer is eliminated. Right? Okay, now we come to this one, similar exercise. As you keep practicing, your level will be going up. Right? Okay, number 1, exercise 2, number 1. Here you already feel sleepy and exhausted. Exercise 2. We'll do this one. We anyway started a little bit. Okay, because of the success of a comedian, directors were loath to consider him for dash roles. If you look at the context, he is successful as a comedian. Yeah. So some roles that the director would not consider him would be something serious. Right? So what can be the opposite of a comic role? What you, yes?
Loath is present tense and were loath. I think the tense of the sentence is completely wrong.
Tense is wrong. Which one are you?
Directors were loath to consider him. Were and present tense and
1 minute. Which sentence are you talking about? Which question?
the first one, the one that we're discussing.
Okay. Were loath to consider. Were
Yes.
reluctant to consider. Tense is correct.
The ma'am, loath is a verb, right?
can also be used as a noun. Now, loath to comes in as a verb. They were loath to consider. They were reluctant to consider.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when this is a to-do verb. Remember we did those to-do verbs? Yeah, loath to consider. Right? So what would your answer be? Now supporting roles, would that be opposite of comic? No. Right? Now leading roles, supporting and leading are two words which doesn't make sense to me.
Dramatic.
Dramatic could be, now musical also doesn't really come across as the contrast to comic roles. Yeah, the comedic means the same as the roles he was doing. He was already doing comedic roles. So dramatic would be the only answer. Right? Okay, number 2.
There is something to say.
Number 2. The aspiring candidates performance.
All but justified, all but that.
Yeah, it's okay. The aspiring candidates performance. The performance all but
Nullified.
yes,
Nullifies.
nullifies. Okay. Now look at both the blanks. Yes, Adesh, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I didn't see you speaking on this thing. Okay, so aspiring candidates' performance in the debate, all but dash any hopes he may have had winning the election. Yeah, so they're talking about his performance in the debate and it is connected to his winning the election. So all but any hope. That means there's hardly any hope. Right? Contrast to hope. We're talking about all but dash any hope. Yeah? So what does it do? All but dash any hope. Does it nullify the hope or does it support the hope? Encourage it. What's the answer? All but nullifies the hope. That means, now here if you see, this is a double negative. All but nullifies. What does that mean?
Ensure
All
completely
but nullifies.
that it has been destroyed, like reduced.
Yeah?
Anything but.
Yeah, anything but this. So
Anything
you
but
will pick up a
guarantee.
negative word and say it doesn't do this. Right?
So ma'am, here 2 negatives are making a positive basically.
2 negatives make it a positive. Got it? So now all but encourages any hope? No. All but guarantees any hope? Could be. That would be a complete negative. Now, but you're just saying a hope he may have at winning the election. Right? So the performance in the debate would be either, it could be either very bad or very good. So in this case, we would take it as very good. All but nullifies them. Right? What is that? Accentuates? Accentuate means give importance to something. More what? Make it more important. Right? Accentuate means to make more important, give importance to. Okay, now number 3. Can do this. She is the most dashed person I have ever met. Seemingly with an endless reserve of energy. So endless reserve of energy could be Vivacious?
Yes, impudent means stupid, impudent means quiet. I don't know what it should mean. Or if that is a word.
Vivacious would be lively. She has so much of energy, she is lively. Yeah, it could be vivacious.
What is it for the
Jejune. Jejune means naive, simple, naive. Right? And solicitous means
solicits?
yeah, to do something carefully. Be very careful about it.
It's honesty, to be honest.
Right? Like here, or it could also mean concerned about something. Yeah. So in this case, vivacious and lively, endless reserve of energy match. But could anything else also come in?
No, it means stupid, right?
Yeah, indolent is lazy. And impudent means
Impudent is lazy. Impudent means stupid. Or like dumb.
it's not dumb. He is impudent, means he's rude, insulting, brazen. Yeah? Can I know the meanings of impudent? Rude, brazen, insulting. Right? So in this case, solicitous could also come in and vivacious could also come in. So we will eliminate jejune, indolent, impudent. Now she is the most solicitous person I have ever met, seemingly with an endless reserve of energy. Now if you talk about vivacious, seemingly endless reserve of energy, will that come in? Seemingly. That's a catch to that. If you're saying she is vivacious, you mean that she has a lot of energy. What does vivacious mean? Lively, full of energy, right? So would you take vivacious as the answer? It means the same thing. You would be repeating the same thing.
I would take illusions. Because like see, it needs to have a lot of energy.
Yeah.
But you're seemingly with an endless. They're saying that we know she has a lot
Vivacious
of
means a
energy.
lot of energy and endless energy comes to same thing.
Because
Yeah.
what I
But
thought-
here you are saying seemingly with an endless reserve of
Yeah,
energy.
because how I look at it, right? This means a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Seemingly with an endless, I
So
thought
you are saying she's a person with a lot of energy, seemingly with an endless amount of energy.
yeah, what I thought was that we already knew she had a lot of energy. But now I know that she has endless. Like I think it's endless because she never
So
saw.
when you're saying vivacious, it is an extreme form. That means it is endless. She has extreme amount of energy. So you would be actually repeating. So, but yes, anybody here who has an explanation? Aditya, what do you think?
Vivacious is, I think, is the correct answer because it means lively.
Yeah, she is a vivacious,
But
lively,
elimination, right?
and
Elimination, right? There's no other better option.
yeah. So, could we use something else also? Like, we wouldn't want to repeat the same thing. Right? There are two characteristics that are coming in. So one is endless reserve of energy. She is the most dash person. So if we take solicitous, would it fit? She's the most careful or most caring person. Concerned about everything.
The two parts of the sentence don't correlate if we use solicitous.
Correlate, right? So lively person, within this reserve of energy. You think that is correct? Hmm? Right? Could be. But if we take solicitous, it has more solicitous.
No, it shows only one anybody then as well.
Concerned, ego. So I got concerned, ego, careful.
It shows characterized by or showing concern, interest, and there's a between RA, eager and anxious to do something. Okay, it's nothing.
Now, vivacious means lively and spirited. So a person who is lively and spirited would have endless reserve of energy. That could be good. Right? Tanvi, what do you think? Yes, Tanvi. So we'll do just one more question before we wind up, because they'll be closing Zoom again. Okay, number 4. Despite. Now here you have the sentence starts with a contrasting word, right? Despite all its dash, a stint in the diplomatic corps is invariably an uplifting experience. Yeah?
I think
Now, despite what? Despite all its dash, it is an uplifting experience. Now, would you say despite its merit, it is uplifting? No. Yeah? We need something opposite of that. So, compensation,
Ma'am, I think it's option D, rigors.
rigors, yeah? Now, compensation doesn't fit in. Despite its effectiveness also doesn't fit in. Rigors could be, because if it says a stint in a diplomatic corps is invariably an uplifting experience. So the first one is also supposed to be there to the task. Yeah. So it was a rigorous task, but it was very uplifting. That could be. Now, mediocrity would not be uplifting. If something is mediocre, it would not give you that feeling that it is very good. Right? So, the rigors is the only answer. Alright? Okay, now, okay, what we'll do is we'll just complete right. And then the rest will complete form. Just number 5. Wrap up. So it talks about being a nihilist and an atheist. Yeah, any answer? Yes. Initiative. But they already say it and it is. Talks about being a nihilist and an atheist. So what's a nihilist? And he's an atheist, he doesn't believe in God. So, yet, I get that. He talks about being nihilist and an atheist during his life, yet he never dashed faith in God. So he is an atheist. He says he's an atheist. So we are looking for a contrast over here. But he never does lose faith in God.
Yes, ma'am. Option B.
He talks about being an atheist. He doesn't say that he is an atheist. Right? You have to analyze it a little more. He talks about being an atheist. Right? But does he say that completely is an atheist or he believes in God or not? Yeah. He does not talk. Okay, let's eliminate form.
Form was not.
Right? Does not form. So he says he doesn't believe in God. Then he says he doesn't believe in God. And he says he is a nihilist. So if he is a nihilist, then some nihilism is not a different thing. So yet he never does show his faith in God or something like that. Credit your word. Yet he never dashes faith in God. He says he is an atheist, but he never. Like if he's an atheist, he wouldn't really have faith in God. So either you can say that he doesn't show or his faith in God,
Or he never believes.
or we can't figure out whether he really has faith in God or not. Yeah. Okay, let's eliminate. We can, okay, for affirm we are not sure. Yeah. Now, yet he never does lose faith in God. That's a complete contrast. He says he's an atheist. Yet he never loses faith in God. If you say that he never loses, now this is never. If he never loses faith in God, yeah, no. But if he never loses faith in God, then what we say he's an atheist.
And we think never loses.
So that becomes a little strong. Yeah. Just look at the others. Scorn. Scorn to be eliminated. Yeah. We won't use scorn in this case. He never scorns. Now, again, if we look at that way, it doesn't fit in. He never scorns his faith in God. We won't say that. Right? Supplicate.
I also
Feel or solicit. Right? Or you put in a petition, praying. Ever means claim, affirm. And so it could be used as a form, but it's a stronger word. Assert, that is, be sure about. Yeah, ever is affirm or be or a little more than affirm, be sure about or claim. Right? So yet he never does. If you say show his faith in God, then it will be affirm. Right? You won't say he says he's an atheist, yet he never shows his faith in God. We don't know whether he is an atheist or not. If we say that he doesn't lose his faith in God, then we would be sure that he is not an atheist. Right? So it's a little in the middle. So the tone, when we come to the tone of the sentence, it's not saying something which should. Right? So this is a little complicated, and these are the types of questions that I put in to make sure you get it wrong. Yeah, that's the purpose of these set of questions. Complicated, you don't get clarity on it, you will be likely to choose a wrong answer. But if you analyze a little more, you make it. Right? Okay, now the rest of the questions you can do for homework. Yeah. Now what we'll do is, this exercise, you have more exercises. There are 20 questions in this one. Okay, exercise 3. Now exercise 3 asks, exercise 3 are sentences without options. Options are not there. They fill in your words. Right? Yes, your answers are given. Maybe your answers may not be exactly the same word, but similar.
there's options.
Yeah, options are given. Sorry. So yeah, you have to choose a word from here. Right? Okay, this also you can do. And then do you want to do 4 also? Or do you want to do 4 class next time? Start and then I will do 4. So, yes, anybody wants to do more? So you are welcome to do more than exercise, completing exercise 2 and doing exercise 3. Yeah. If you have time, then you can move on to exercise 4 also. Okay. So that's it for today. I hope this made some sense. So that means now one thing you have to remember is you have to keep practicing. Any new word you come across, write down the meaning. See how it is used. Yeah. And now you've been already making a list of vocabulary words. Keep adding whatever new words in there. Right? So I think yesterday we asked this. So I think whatever we did today will help you in answering the few that we 4 to 5 in the time questions. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. See you on Sunday.
Thank you, ma'am.
You have another person? Attendance questions. You had a good experience with document. You had a good experience with document. Yes. But we will go into teacher, so the grammar and is always the student.